Brad Williams, XL Prime.
Calculating net present value and internal rate of return. The general rule in finance is if you have a project that earns net present value above zero, it's a good project. If the net present value is less than zero, you never take the project. What does it mean? In simple terms, we're going to take the projected cash flows of the project and discount them to the current rate at 8%. How does that look in terms of the calculation? In basic terms, we look at this minus 306 and we discount it by the current time divided by 8%. And we do that, and if we're at period 10 or whatever period, ignore these dates, they're just a filler. So let's say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the cash flows over 10 periods. Well, you would discount these the first period, second period, third period, fourth period, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10. It will derive at 7.75. What does it mean? If the net present value was zero, that means this project produced an 8% return. Anything above is gravy. That's a huge plus, 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 plus. What's the difference here between this first example and second example? Well, this promoter said, look, I guarantee you, and never listen to anyone who says guarantee, but he goes, here's our projections. We're going to lose money the first year, get really close to breaking even on the second year, and we're comfortable that our cash flows will increase favorably over the next 8 years. We think we can easily satisfy the required return. Required return is your minimum expected value. In other words, you expect nothing less because of the risk of this project. The second guy goes, the first year is going to be tough. The second year, we're comfortable, but I think we're going to lose money the second year. But I think our cash flows after that are going to be crazy high. You go, well, that just sounds like a lot of talk. Why don't we just play around with some numbers here? All this is based on random numbers. I fixed the numbers, so there'll be a loss. I showed a significant loss in the second year because I don't trust this promoter. Up here, I've worked with this guy in the past. I think he's pretty good at what he says. I think there's a chance of him losing money, but I think there's a bigger chance of him gaining money. And the way you do that, you just set this random between and you just come up with arbitrary numbers. So we can hit F9 all we want, and look what happens. I still don't trust this second promoter. I place a negative weight throughout the project because there's a significant loss that second year. Hit F9 and you can see the second project, well, there's a loss there, but now, wait, that's a pretty big gain. But then you look at this project, the first project, you can hit F9 just to get an idea. First project seems randomly, looks like the cash flows randomly could be better. Now, clearly, this is not investment advice and clearly not a strategy to use on the surface. This is just random stuff for an example to determine what the net present value is. You can see this number is 829, and I said anything above zero shows that this return is much higher than 8%. But what is it? Well, we have another tool. It's called internal rate of return, and that is a method where you can use the old school, and literally, this is how old I am. When I first calculated internal rate of return, it was on a ledger sheet. We didn't have the tools we have today. The old school, we used to have to, it's called interpolation. So what you do is you would take this number and you would interpret. You would just go through and you go, well, I need to find out when this number equates to zero based on cash flow. Now they have a simple calculation called the internal rate of return. This function, IRR, and what we're doing is we're looking at the cash flows. And this is from project one. You see this 829? If you click 829, you see 1,073 these numbers just aren't jiving. F9, 359, 6. See, this doesn't make sense. Here we have 676 and a 33% internal rate of return. And we have 783 with a 19%. All right, duh. I have to do this. Sorry, folks. Sometimes I'm trying to do too many things. Okay, Control D. What I did, I have to copy this information from the first example to give you a realistic number here. We have 490, we have minus 257, 257. So here we have this net present value of 1174, hit F9, hit F9, 488. And I said this number is significantly higher than 0. Well, here's the rate of return for this project, 32%. How do I know? If you discount this at 32%, it should equal 0. 9, 48%, F9. So you get 1,046. So your internal rate of return is 87%, 395, 753. That is just a 4.5 minute overview of net present value and internal rate of return.
Brad Williams, XL Prime, Williams out.